Hey, Book Dragons, I'm glad you're here with me today. You may remember a couple of months back when Amazon made the decision to no longer allow Kindle users the option to download their books. It used to be if you went to your library, you could open up a drop down menu and it would offer you the option to download via USB. Now, that's mainly for older Kindle devices because I think the newest Kindle devices do not have the option to be used as a drive. I may be mistaken on that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But older devices, like mine, I have a 10th generation Kindle, so it's about 4 or 5 years old at this point. Still offered the option to plug it into your computer. You could download books directly to it. I believe they may have removed that from newer Kindles. But anyway, it used to be that you could go in and download your files via USB to a hard drive or something like that. They have now removed that feature, and while that feature was still available at the very last minute, I think there was about a week or two left when we first found out about it. It was all over YouTube and everything, and a bunch of users went and frantically downloaded all their books so that they would have them. And I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing because I did the same thing. I wanted to know that I could still access all of my books if Amazon decided to remove a book or two from their library or things like that. So that's the bottom line of where this video came from today. And you may remember a few weeks back, I did an unboxing video for a new Kobo device that I bought. And that is the Kobo Libra Color, and I have it in a nice case here. And we're going to compare the Kobo Libra Color to the Kindle in today's video. But I did do an unboxing video for that. If you're curious, I'll put a link in the description below so that you can go check that out if you want to see what the unboxing was like. But today we're going to do everything. We're going to talk about all the nitty-gritty good stuff, and we're going to discuss whether or not I'm ditching my Kindle. So go grab your snacks and drinks if you want some. I'm going to put my eyes on here because I have made some notes, and I want to be able to not forget anything and give you my full opinion after using the Kobo exclusively for this entire month. For ebooks anyway. I did read a physical book as well. So we're going to get right down to it, and we're going to start with the design. And right off the bat, there's a huge design feature that I think is probably going to be pretty obvious. And that is that Kobo books are in color. You can see the screen there. You can see the screen hopefully there, and the Kobo books are in color on the device. And you can highlight in color and everything like that. Whereas the Kindle Paperwhite is just black and white. Now you may also notice a size difference, and that is a big deal as well. The Kindle Paperwhite is much smaller than the Kobo Libra Color, and that can be good and bad. The screen size is obviously a good thing. I think the screen size is quite a bit bigger than the Kindle Paperwhite, but I will say that as far as weight goes, the Kobo Libra Color is much bulkier. So my Kindle is very light, and I can hold it in one hand like this, and I can read from it like that. And if I want to do that with the Kobo Libra Color, I can. I can grip it, but it's a lot heavier to hold because the weight is quite a bit different. So at least for me, and that's not a bad thing. It's still a huge improvement over reading a physical book in hardcover where it's like just really heavy, right? So there's pros and cons to that. But the size difference and the weight difference is definitely significant. But I love reading on the bigger screen here. I think that's a really great feature. And another thing that's really cool about this is the on-off switch. So you've got the button to make it go to sleep on the bottom of the Kindle, which I have not necessarily had problems with accidentally doing it, where I just accidentally push the button in the middle of reading. I haven't really experienced that. Some other people have, and maybe some other people's particular devices, the button is a little bit looser than mine is. I don't know. But I haven't experienced that. But I also don't really like that it's on the bottom. That's kind of a pain, in my opinion. With the Kobo Libra Color, the on-off switch or the sleep button is on the back of the device. It's just that little button right there. So that's kind of cool. And most of the time, because I use a case, I don't need it. You know, if I close the case, it goes to sleep without me pressing that button. So the only time I would really need to press that button probably is if I wanted to turn it completely off. Otherwise, it just goes to sleep when I shut the cover. Now, you do have to buy the cover separately, just like you would with a Kindle. And Kindle has that feature as well. Like, you know, it's a magnetic cover. So if you get a cover for the Kindle and you close it, it will put the device to sleep. I don't think that's any different with the Kobo. But I do like that feature. I like where they placed it. Also, the charging port is on the bottom for the Kindle Paperwhite. And I don't really like that. It's kind of inconvenient if you want to be holding it up, reading it, or maybe put it on a stand. Like I have a little stand that I've been using. It's not a Kindle stand, but I have a little stand that I've been propping it in. But if you want to charge it, it's kind of hard to put it in that stand because you got the cord sticking out, right? So with this, the charging port is on the side. So I can just keep reading my Kobo, but just plug it into the side there and keep on going. And the nice thing too is this is USB-C, so it's kind of a universal plug now that all of your devices use, or most of your devices use, unless you have an older iPhone or something like that. So you're never at a loss for finding a charging cord that you can plug into your Kobo. So I really like that feature about it. Okay, and then briefly I'll talk about the screen itself. As a comparison, the Kindle Paperwhite is just like it says. It feels like you're reading on real paper. And the screen on the Kobo is not bad. It's a crisp and clear screen. The brightness is fine, but it feels a little bit less like paper than the Kindle Paperwhite does. So I will say that when you're reading on the Kobo, from my experience so far, it does feel a little bit like a tablet screen. And so that is one advantage that the Paperwhite has over the Kobo, but it's not an extremely noticeable difference. I transitioned to the Kobo just fine from reading on my Paperwhite. I can't tell a huge difference, but there is a little bit of a difference. Okay, and then there is one other design feature that I want to talk about, and that is the optional stylus. Now, I did not buy a stylus for the Kobo, but you can. There's not a slot for it, although you can buy Kobo cases that have an extra slot for the stylus. But I did not buy a stylus. For me, personally, I'm not the type of user that really needs a stylus. I'm not going to be sitting there trying to write on my Kobo screen. I've never been one to write in my books, period. If I want to make a note, I can just make a note right on the little keyboard on the device. Is it a little bit cumbersome? Sure. But it was cumbersome doing that on the Kindle too. Like, it's all the same. It's still a digital keyboard, and I don't mind making my notes on that because I don't take a ton of notes when I'm reading anyway. Usually I just highlight a passage that I like and I don't say anything about it. Every once in a while I'll comment on it to save it in my notes for later. But yeah, I did the same with the Kindle, and I never really had a use for a stylus. Now let's move to the reading experience. And the first thing I want to talk about is still technically a design feature, but it's part of the reading experience, and that is the page turn buttons. So I've been reading The Mystery of the Blue Train by Agatha Christie. And so, you know, that's the book I've currently got up here, but I'm going to show you. So the bottom button here turns the page forward, and the top one turns the page back. And you can customize those. So you could switch it so it's in reverse, so that the top one turns the page forward and the bottom turns it back. I've considered doing that because it is a little bit weird using the bottom button to turn my page forward, but we'll see. I haven't totally decided if I want to switch them yet because I'm kind of getting used to it at this point. Now, you don't just have to press the button. You can also tap the screen and it will go forward and back. And I have to say, the page transitions on the Kobo are really smooth, at least from my experience so far, versus my Kindle Paperwhite. Now, I know newer Kindle Paperwhites are probably smoother. That's fine. I have not used the Kindle Color Soft at all, so I don't know what that experience is like compared to the Kobo, but I'm just comparing what I used to use and what I am going to be using mostly going forward. So as far as these go, this has been a great reading experience. It's a lot smoother, and I love the buttons here. I love clicking the buttons. It's aesthetically pleasing to me, and you know, gives you a little bit of ASMR. I mean, it's not loud, so I'm not going to be giving you ASMR in this video, but you know, for me personally, it feels satisfying to click that button. And I wasn't sure that that would really be a thing, honestly, because I got so used to just tapping the screen on my Kindle Paperwhite that I'm like, oh, this has buttons again. And if you want to adjust the brightness on the Kindle Paperwhite, you have to go into you have to tap the top of the screen, go into the settings, and adjust the brightness there. You can do that on the Kobo, but on the side here, you just slide up and down on this side of the screen and it adjusts the brightness for you. So I kind of like that. That's a really cool feature. Crispness of the screen. Let's talk about that. I personally think that the Kobo screen is a lot crisper than my Kindle Paperwhite was. I really like that. The Kindle Paperwhite was crisp, and it uses the Bookerly font, which is a really popular font. And I know people that have gone in and downloaded the Bookerly font to their Kobo, and that's great. But I like the standard font on the Kobo so far. I don't know what it is. I'd have to go in and look. But the font on the Kobo is really, really good so far. I love it. It's easy for me to read on, so that's been a really good experience. And one thing that the Kobo has that the Kindle Paperwhite does not is this has a large print feature. So even though you can adjust the font size anyway, there is a large print feature if you go into the settings. So if you're really having a hard time seeing the screen, if your eyesight isn't the greatest, you can put it in large print mode, which I thought was pretty cool. I was digging around in the settings and I'm like, oh, so that's a thing. I didn't know that. So that's pretty cool. I have not used it. I'm fine with the font just like it is, and I can adjust it by pinching and zooming out if I need to adjust the size of the print. But so far, yeah, that's been really good. Library books. Let's talk about that for a minute. So with Kindle currently, you can do library books, but you have to go through a separate app, either on your phone or possibly the website, called Libby. And I love Libby. Libby is great, but you have to go through Libby, open up a separate browser to open that in your Kindle, and then it will download it to your Kindle for you to read the library book, which that's great. Not a problem. So let's take a look at the Kobo for library books. On the Kobo, if you go to the Discover tab, I'll show it right there on the screen. I'll zoom it in here for you. There is a section for ebooks, so you can discover new ebooks to buy. There is a section for audiobooks as well if you want to buy an audiobook directly from your Kobo. There is a section for Kobo Plus as well, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. And then there's Overdrive. Now, Overdrive is the standard digital library system that all digital library services use. Whether it's Libby, whether it's Hoopla, they all use Overdrive in one way or another. And so what Kobo does is it connects directly to your Overdrive account through your library card. So you go in, it takes you to a separate website to type in your library card. You only have to do it once. And then if you go here, you can hit the search bar up at the top and you can search for a book. And if your library has it, you can place a hold on it, or if it's already available, you can download it directly to your Kobo and read it. Easy peasy. So I love that the experience is so much more streamlined on the Kobo. And I think this is going to make me utilize my library more because I need to look for ways of cutting down on purchasing books. That's probably a good idea to utilize my library more instead of spending my money on all these ebooks and just focusing on the ones that I really, really want to buy. So I got off on a tangent there, but the library is really great on the Kobo. Now, let's talk about other ways to load books onto your Kindle. So let's say you're out shopping on the internet and you find a book that you want to download. You can download it to your Dropbox or to your Google Drive. And if you go to the More tab, there are several features here. You'll see my wish list, my Dropbox, my Google Drive. So you can sign in to your Dropbox or Google Drive directly from your Kobo. And if you have books that are in your Google Drive or Dropbox, you can open your Dropbox and it will show the books that are currently in that folder. There's a special folder just for Kobo. It sets all that up for you. It's really simple. And it will show you all the files that you can just open up and start reading on your Kobo. And so I really like that feature. And you can do that with PDFs, you can do it with EPUB files, or you can do it with books that you converted to an EPUB file using other programs. And we'll talk about that a little bit here in a second. One downside I have found, and I don't know if there's a workaround for this or a fix for this, but if you download books from your Dropbox or Google Drive, it will not use all of the features of your Kobo, okay? So if you go to highlight something, your highlights will not save if you have downloaded it from your Dropbox versus loading it right from your computer. Even if you have a Kobo EPUB file specifically designed for Kobo, if you do it through Dropbox, it will not save your highlights and it will not bookmark your book appropriately. So, for instance, I was in this new book here, Discovery by J.A.J. Minton, and unless I have completed a chapter, if I'm in the middle of a chapter and I close out of the book, it puts me right back at the beginning of the chapter. It will not save my notes. And that's because I downloaded it from my Dropbox instead of downloading it from my computer. So just wanted you to be aware of that. If there is a fix for that, please let me know, okay? But I really, really like some of these cool built-in features that the Kobo has that the Kindle is sorely lacking. I mean, you can get books onto your Kindle from these various different services, but it takes so many extra steps. So I really, really like this. Yeah, and if I'm in a pinch and I need to download a document onto my Kobo to take with me to read. Maybe it's an article that I wanted to save for later. I can easily put it in my Dropbox and it's right there for me. I wouldn't really have to worry about the formatting necessarily if it's just an article. Now, if you want to get books from your computer to your Kobo, you can plug your Kobo right into your computer with the included cord. You just plug this into the side and then you plug the other end into your computer. Easy peasy. It shows up as a drive and you can download books directly to your Kobo. Now, they may not be formatted appropriately. What I would personally recommend is using Calibre. Calibre is a free-to-use program. I have all of my books on Calibre, and when your Kobo is plugged in, Calibre will automatically recognize it, and the screen will kind of do its thing, and it'll give you the option to download books to your Kobo. And if you have KEPUB files, which are Kobo EPUB files, or just standard EPUB files, you can transfer them right over and it will automatically format them appropriately and transfer them to the Kobo for you, and you can use your highlights and your bookmarks and everything. You can make notes. It'll work just like a regular Kobo book would if you purchased it from the Kobo store. And if you have other file formats, you can convert them to EPUB or to KEPUB right in Calibre. Really easy to do. I have run into a couple of issues with PDFs, and so I am going to be looking for workarounds on that to see if I can fix that. But as of right now, the transfer process is really simple. Calibre is free. You can download it for both Mac and PC. I highly recommend you do so, and I highly recommend you ignore the noise outside my window because somebody is mowing their lawn. I mean, don't they know I'm filming? All right, so we're gonna move on from the reading experience to some miscellaneous considerations, okay? And feel free to ask me anything in the comments if you want more information about some of the design features and reading experience I've shared. Let me know. I'd be happy to help. We're going to move on to what I'm calling miscellaneous considerations. The first one of those is DRM. That's digital rights management. A lot of publishers are putting that on their books. That way people aren't downloading their books and giving them to everybody they know so that authors aren't getting paid and so on like that. That's their excuse for putting DRM on there anyway. Really, it's to control ownership of the books, and DRM is there for a reason. If you go to the Kindle store and you purchase a book now, there is a disclaimer on that ebook that says you are purchasing a license to that book. They didn't have that on there before. That is new within the last couple of months or so, I think. But it will tell you you are purchasing a license for that book. You do not own it. So really, DRM is there to prevent book ownership, in my personal opinion. I'm sure it does prevent pirating as well, so that's another feature of DRM. But really, it's to make sure that they control the ownership of that book. And if they decide that they don't want Amazon to sell that ebook anymore, then they can just remove the license and it just goes away. So DRM is a huge thing in the industry. A lot of authors are starting to sell their books DRM free. I know Brandon Sanderson did that for a few of his books. Most self-pub authors I know sell their books DRM free. I am one of those. I don't put DRM on mine, but it is there on a lot of books. Now, does Kobo have DRM on their books? Yes, they do. It's a different type of DRM, but it is still DRM. So if you purchase a book from the Kobo store, it is going to have digital rights management on it. The difference is you can still download your Kobo books. You can't download your Kindle books anymore. That feature is gone. So the Kobo books do have DRM, but it's a little bit easier to manage because you can still download them. Right now I'm being very selective on what books I buy from the Kobo store, and I'm looking for EPUBs elsewhere that I can purchase and download and then transfer to my Kobo. But I will on occasion buy a book from the Kobo store, and cutthroat ebook pricing is still a thing. That is still alive and well. So every once in a while they do run sales, and I'm subscribed to BookBub emails. I don't know if you are, but a lot of times if you get the BookBub emails, it will tell you the discounted price for an ebook, like $2.99, $3.99, and it will have links to the different stores that you can buy it on for that price. So they do still run ebook sales. You can get those. And if you get the Amazon emails that tell you about free ebooks or discounted ebooks, you can usually go to the Kobo store and see if the Kobo store is also offering it for that price, and buy it from there instead. That's what I've been doing with a lot of the ones I purchased from the Kobo store. Maybe I see it in BookBub or on the Amazon email, and I'm like, oh, let me check the price on Kobo. And it's usually the same. So otherwise, you are still paying pretty heavy prices for ebooks, which I'm not going to do. I'm just going to wait till it's on sale. So those are some of those considerations. Now I want to move on to consideration of authors. And this is a big one for me, guys, because a lot of self-published authors, myself included, publish their ebooks on Kindle. And a lot of authors, probably the majority of authors, do the exclusivity with Kindle so that they get a higher royalty rate paid to them. I am one of those currently. I'm looking into some options for the future, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But for right now, a lot of self-published authors are on Kindle exclusively, and they are in the Kindle Unlimited program. I am one of those authors that is in Kindle Unlimited, and that feature is only available if you're exclusive with Amazon. So there are ways that Amazon ties a golden ball and chain around your ankle if you're a self-published author, because they do really have the corner on the market right now. And they have another program called Kindle Select, where if you're opted into it, you get put into a pool of additional money for all the books that are currently in the Kindle Select program. So it's a huge deal publishing with Amazon, and they find ways to keep you tied into it. So if I was to publish my ebook elsewhere, I would be removed from the Kindle Select program. I would be removed from Kindle Unlimited, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of advantages, I guess I would say, to being on Kindle. And because there are a lot of people in the Kindle Unlimited program that are self-published authors, some of which I really want to read, the only way you can do that is with your Kindle. Kobo does have a similar program to Kindle Unlimited. It's called Kobo Plus, and you can pay a certain amount every month, and you get access to a bunch of ebooks and audiobooks. So that's part of the Kobo Plus program as well. Kindle Unlimited has a few audiobooks, but not really. It's mostly ebooks. But with Kobo Plus, you can do audiobooks as well. And so there is that feature, but there's not a lot of self-published authors in the Kobo store. And just in general, the Kobo store does not have as many books available as the Amazon store does. That's just kind of the nature of the beast right now. So there are up-and-coming programs with Kobo that I think could hold a lot of potential for the future. But right now, that's kind of uncertain. And Kobo does have an author program as well, so you can publish with Kobo. I have not looked much into it. I will be looking into it for the future. But for right now, I'm still in the Kindle ecosystem as far as my books go and other self-published authors go. And there's a lot of good potential for Kobo to become more mainstream and offer a wide variety of books. But right now, it's a little bit limited. So that's where I'm at as far as being an author goes and supporting other authors. I think there's still a lot of advantages for authors in the Kindle ecosystem. For now, that could change. And it may change with all the things that are going on right now with Amazon. So let's talk about my plans going forward. Am I ditching my Kindle? Kind of, but not totally. And if you still use a Kindle, I am not judging you at all. Kindle Paperwhite or any of the Kindle devices are great devices. I don't think you are a bad person for using a Kindle. I don't think you are wrong for using a Kindle and continuing to support Amazon. Please do not hear me say that I am judging you for still using Kindle and still using Amazon. I am not. That is up to every individual person's choice. For me personally, I am going to be mostly using the Kobo Libra Color. I love the design features on it. There are a few quirks that need to be worked out, I think, sure, but overall, it's been a spectacular reading experience. And I really love the colors on here. It's not super vibrant, it's a very soft tone to the colors, but I really like color in my book covers. And so to be able to finally have that on a reading device, I love it. That's really great. And for the most part, I've really enjoyed my reading experience on the Kobo Libra Color. So I will be using Kobo for the majority of my reading going forward, with a few exceptions. And those exceptions will be Kindle Unlimited, for one. Most of the self-published authors that I support and like to read, if I don't already own their books, I want to read them on Kindle Unlimited. And there are a few books that Amazon has that Kobo just will not have, at least not yet. In the future, I'm sure their library will expand and we'll be able to get all the stuff that we have on Amazon currently on Kobo as well. But so far, I have noticed a few books that I can get on Kindle that I can't get on Kobo, and those books are from traditionally published, mass marketed authors. So there's a few of those, not many, but there will be a few instances where I may have to decide, okay, I guess it's time for me to go back to my Kindle to read that particular book, or just borrow it from the library. I don't know. We'll see what options are available to me, but that is my plan going forward. I'm not going to completely ditch my Kindle. If and when my Kindle stops working, because someday it might, one day it just may not work anymore. It's 5 years old at this point, so who knows what'll happen. If that does happen, I don't know what my plan is going to be going forward, right? Because I don't know if I will want to buy another Kindle device, to be perfectly honest. I'll revisit it when that time comes, and maybe that time won't ever come. If I wanted to, I could always read a book on my phone with the Kindle app, if it came right down to it, versus buying a whole new Kindle. I don't like reading on my phone, but I could. So those are things to consider for the future. And I do want to make a side note here real quick, and that is regarding Goodreads and Fable. I recently started using Fable, and I've really been enjoying the experience. It's a fantastic platform for reading, for tracking your reading, for connecting with other reading friends, and I've really enjoyed my experience so far. I am still on Goodreads for now because I still have a lot of friends that are on Goodreads and I don't want to lose track of them, and I like seeing what they're reading. But honestly, the only reason that I was still using Goodreads exclusively was because it was connected to my Kindle, and that made it really easy to use. You can automatically post updates directly from your Kindle to Goodreads because Goodreads is owned by Amazon. But now that I'm usually going to be reading on Kobo, I have no need to stick to Goodreads exclusively because I was only doing it for convenience anyway. So now I can use something that I like even more, and that is Fable. So I just wanted to let you guys know I am on Fable. I will leave a link to my profile down below if you want to follow me on Fable. And if you have not checked out Fable, you really should. It's a fantastic reading and connection app for book lovers. I've had a blast with it so far. So for almost an hour. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been helpful and meaningful to you. And there may be some things that I did not talk about that you're curious about. Please let me know in the comments below. And until next time, guys, make sure that you read more books. And before you leave, check out some of my other videos in the cards at the end of this video. Talk to you soon.